The world is entering a new era of warfare, an era where speed is deadlier than firepower. In 2019, China unveiled something that shook the Pentagon to its core, a weapon that moves so fast it can outfly and outthink every missile defense system America has ever built. It's called the DF-17, carrying the DF-ZF hypersonic glide vehicle, a missile so fast, so unpredictable that it's rewriting the rules of war. This isn't science fiction. This is the real hypersonic revolution, and the United States is officially on notice. The DF-17 didn't appear overnight. It was the result of decades of research by the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force. After watching the U.S. dominate the skies with precision strikes during the Gulf War and Iraq, China realized that to level the playing field, it needed something that couldn't be intercepted. So, they turned to hypersonic glide technology. The idea? Launch a missile into space, detach a glide vehicle, and let it surf the atmosphere at over Mach 10. That's 10 times the speed of sound. In simple terms, by the time you detect it, it's already too late. The real monster here isn't the launcher, it's the glide vehicle itself. The DF-ZF can travel between Mach 5 and Mach 10, using its aerodynamic lift to skim along the atmosphere, making its trajectory nearly impossible to predict. This glide pattern breaks every defense model the U.S. relies on. THAAD, Aegis, even Patriot systems, all are built to intercept ballistic threats. But DF-ZF is not ballistic, it's chaotic. It dives, shifts, and curves like a ghost in the sky. To radar operators, it appears and disappears, moving faster than data can be processed. It's not just a missile, it's a nightmare in motion. Imagine this. Tensions rise in the South China Sea. U.S. warships patrol near Taiwan. Suddenly, radar screens light up. DF-17s are launched from deep inside mainland China. Within minutes, multiple DF-ZFs detach and race toward their targets at speeds faster than any U.S. missile can match. The Aegis defense systems attempt to lock on, but the glide vehicles zigzag unpredictably. Then, silence. Seconds later, impact. U.S. command centers, radar installations, and runways are gone, wiped out before a counterattack is even possible. That's not a movie scene. That's what a real hypersonic strike scenario could look like. And it's exactly what keeps the Pentagon awake at night. When China demonstrated DF-17's capability, Washington, Moscow, and New Delhi all reacted instantly. The United States ramped up its own programs, including the Air-Launched Rapid Response Weapon and HACM projects. But analysts admit America is still 2 to 3 years behind. Russia, meanwhile, laughed. They already have their own hypersonic beasts, the Avangard and Kinzhal. Moscow proudly welcomed China to what it calls the Hypersonic Club. India, on the other hand, began testing the HTS-TDV, but it's still far from becoming an operational threat. In short, the world has entered a hypersonic arms race, a race where even a few minutes can decide the fate of nations. Let's face it, right now, the answer is no. The U.S. and its allies have advanced radar, but hypersonic glide vehicles don't fly like normal missiles. They're too fast, too low, and too unpredictable. Even America's best systems, THAAD, Aegis, and SM-6, struggle to even track a DF-ZF, let alone intercept it. Defending against hypersonic weapons isn't about speed anymore. It's about intelligence. finding ways to predict where the glide vehicle will go before it moves. That's the challenge the Pentagon now faces, and it's a challenge that could cost hundreds of billions to solve. But here's the real danger. These weapons are so fast that they could trigger a nuclear response by mistake. Imagine this. A radar operator misreads a hypersonic launch as a nuclear attack. In panic, a nation retaliates, and within minutes, the world faces annihilation. That's why experts are calling for new arms control treaties before this race turns into a global catastrophe. But so far, no one is willing to slow down. The DF-17 and DF-ZF aren't just weapons, they're a message, a signal from Beijing to Washington. The game has changed. For the first time in decades, America's dominance in missile technology is being challenged head-on. And in this new era of hypersonic warfare, the fastest weapon wins. So the question is, who will master the speed of destruction first? China, Russia, or the United States? If you found this breakdown insightful, hit that like button, subscribe for more defense and technology deep dives, and tell us in the comments, do you think the US can catch up in the hypersonic race? Because this is not just about weapons, it's about the future of power itself.